Hey you guys, it's a post on a vegan, or not even that, but it was a handle on Instagram. The handle was simply vegan for animal liberation. And it got me thinking about how I'm not a person who aligns with kind of extremism and or violence in any way. And I'm someone who's been dominantly vegan most of her life. I turned vegetarian with my mother and sister when I was sort of 11 and 12, and have been on and off again vegan vegetarian lifestyle. And I've been very dominantly vegan for the last sort of 6 years or so. And it's always been an ethical choice for me because I literally couldn't bear the thought of harming a creature, like cruelly killing it. So veganism is something that always aligned for me. At the same time, having gotten veggie vegan way back when, I got a lot of kickback from my community. I got like verbally attacked by people a lot, like, what are you doing, like, what are, blah, blah, blah. So I'm really aware of like resistance when it comes to making changes that align with the self. And it was never my intent to make people feel bad about their food choices. I just wanted to be allowed to make mine. And so the interesting little nugget that came up for me when I read vegan for animal liberation was the fact that I'm like, well, that's great. I'm still concerned about human liberation, though. So ultimately, we can't just jump to focusing on a cause like animal liberation if the human population on this planet isn't yet free. So the fact that we live in this oppressive system, and this is like, again, the subtlety of emotional veiling. It's that people are actually taking out all their grief and their judgment and their pain on one another, making it about veganism or making it about animal welfare. But yet we're living in a time when we're so obviously not even able to take care of ourselves, not able to take care of all the poor children in the world. And yeah, oh yeah, let's jump on this bandwagon. And it's not like I'm all for animal liberation. I'm just all for like human liberation as well. And to me, there's a bit of a misstep if like we're gung-ho, like let's all go vegan. And I'm like, well, okay, but maybe veganism isn't for everybody. And also, again, like if we're just solely focusing on animal liberation, I'm like, what's that energy? Right? And ultimately, when we're dealing with things like guilt and punishment and shame and extremism, it all comes from harboring those wounds and not being able to feel them, not being able to address them. And so we externalize them in extremism, in possibly hurting humans and judging humans because of your belief around animals. And yet, it makes sense to me that unless we live on a planet where the humanity is free, you know, then we don't stand a chance in animal liberation. We're one with the plant. We're one with each other, right? And the animals. And so what is the point of talking about animal liberation if the human population is not yet free? Because if we are integral, if we as beings are in harmony, are in love, then we act in harmony and in love. Thus, we would not be over consuming meat, and we wouldn't even be having this debate because, you know, as far as I'm aware, for a really, really long time, humans have engaged in slaughter for survival. Native American tribes, and yet there was a sacred connection when it came to taking that life force. That to me is what is missing in our meat and dairy industries. There's no sacred connection. There's no sense of gratitude. It's just like, give me my Mackie D's. And you're like, oh, that food is potentially destroying our ecosystems. And so you should be fucking grateful. And it's more the disparity in the fact that we're entitled, we're just blind consuming everything without questioning and or actually tuning in, does this serve me? Right? Does this food serve me? I have never in my vegetarian life ever craved meat, wanted meat. Even when I smell meat, nothing in me wants it. So I'm like, that is for me. It's just like I talk about my plant medicine stuff, I'm somebody who really resonates with something like cannabis. Alcohol, not so much, but I've observed people who resonate with alcohol and really don't resonate with cannabis. So I'm not going to go parading around like vegans are better than meat eaters, because that's just not the case. Every single one of us is like completely unique. However, I do genuinely believe that becoming more conscious consumers, eating more plants, eating less processed food, eating food that's close to you in proximity and not traveling all over the world, and eating food that isn't tampered with, i.e., GMO or pesticides, right? So it's like natural, homegrown, cooked food, good to go. All of this mass production, processing, injecting cattle with fucking steroids or whatever, that is messy. That is where we get messed up, where we're being poisoned by poisoning our food chain, and like it's all convoluted. So it's like, how can we come back to basics? It's like every single individual is unique, and how we honor that is fantastic. I reckon that once we ourselves become more free, more liberal, more not liberal, but like, you know what I mean, more emancipated, then obviously we wouldn't breed and then slaughter en masse the creatures that feed us on the planet that homes us. It's like, right? So it's more, sometimes when I talk about it, I'm like, as if we're even in this position right now. By the way, hi John, how are you? So it's like, get to know yourself and love yourself so that you can make loving choices for yourself and other. And then the more you make those loving choices, the more those loving choices will become apparent to you. And then the less you want to do the other, and the other will become more painful. And so you'll keep making that choice. But I swear to God, especially for sensitive empath types, like just focus on you. Make it all about you. And that might seem all selfish, but ultimately that's what the world teaches. So we might have thought that our, making other people happy was our true purpose, but a lot of us as empaths are waking up to that's not helping at all. That's just getting us into these really sick and twisted abusive situations with people who are much more dominantly narcissistic, i.e. the flip is that those people go around just expecting everyone to treat them like sunshine, and then when people don't, they're like, why wasn't that person treating me like that? And then, yeah, as an empath, you realize like people's energy, not their words, people's energy, and so it doesn't matter. People can think that they're higher and mightier than all the meat eaters, but that's not necessarily true. And I'm kind of just bored and tired of just like, who's right, who's wrong. Like, no one is right or wrong. You're just you, and if you can make choices that really align with you, then you shine for people. If you're making choices of right and wrong based on some delusional external reality, then you're never gonna find it. You're never gonna find yourself. So, yeah, that's just a little vegan rant for you. I like holding space for everybody, and hells yeah, I'm all for animal liberation, but I'm also like, let's focus on human liberation so that animals can also be free. But if we start attacking one another in the name of animal liberation, I think we've kind of missed the point. I think our own emancipation and mental freedom is the first step in opening our hearts to then have enough grace, ease, harmony, and benevolence to make right action choices. So most of us, when we're in our integrity, mass slaughter on any level is not cool. Like, it's not, you're like, mm. So more and more of us aligning ourselves can hold space for transforming industry-based and insidiousness, slavery, corruption, darkness. It's dark stuff, when you really look at it. Most people I know who turned veggie, it's because they've seen slaughter, and or they've gone to abattoirs and they've watched what happens. They've felt and seen the fear and terror of the creatures who are being slaughtered so that we can have our Mackie D's, right? And it's that disparity. So again, I will encourage any of you still meaning to look really hard at slaughter and figure out whether or not it resonates with you, because hands-on, I've met people who are fine with it. I have met people who are fine with killing creatures. They want to eat it. That's how they roll. Fine. But if you're somebody who really feels like that's not your cup of tea, that you're not necessarily comfortable with actually taking the life of a sentient creature, then you should absolutely 100% consider veganism as a lifestyle choice. Plant-based veganism. But otherwise, like, I don't even know where I was going with that. But otherwise, I just love you guys. I love all of you, and I love all creatures, and that's why I'm a vegan, because I really, nothing in me has a desire to, like, take away the life force of a sentient being. I am somebody who is quite happy feeding off of the life force of plants, you know, and I also am somebody who tends to curb the processed junk food vegan stuff because, again, that's just as possibly like as any other thing. John, I'm going to go back to you, my friend. In the name of loving every living creature even more, starting with ourselves. You're so awesome, John. We saw ghost hunting this episode. Yeah, right. It does. Ghost Adventures episode in Abertoir. It's pretty. It's dark. That's all I can say. It's dark. It's horrific in my opinion. It's like a horror movie, and like that's something. Did I share this already? I feel like I might have shared it in the Moon Report, but like this insight I was getting. I think last night I was smoking a doobs and like having, as you do, just having these insights about how like we were all sold the glamorous American dream only to like discover that the dream was actually a nightmare. So the whole idea of Hollywood, and then it's like underneath it is all this fucking shitty sexual abuse and pedophilia, and then you're like the Catholic Church, yay, and then like all the pedophilia stories and like sex trafficking and the deep state when it comes to like the elites who rule the world and the banking system. It's like we all grew up watching Walt Disney and like all the movies, and we're like, just gonna be a good girl, and we get Prince Charming will come, and then happily ever after. And then you get into high school and you're like, okay, just stop imagining that, but get real. Now you're gonna have to sit down, shut up, and do as you're told, and work hard and be part of the world. You're like, okay. Then at some point along our working lives, we have these awakening experience, which we're like, oh my god, the world is fucked, you know, and all the stuff that we're buying is being made by innocent women and children in countries. And hi, John, and I already said hi to John, but hi, Scott. How are you, my friend? Yeah, like being sold the nightmare and all blindly and innocently, like going through the world, working hard, and then you know, I was 19 when I had my first awakenings, i.e., seeing the nightmare underneath the world that I was told I was supposed to fit into. And then it's just taken me 20 years to actually realize like I can just be myself, having had these experiences, even though I've spent the last 20 years almost like batting off people who were either telling me I'm crazy or people who were using and abusing me. So 20 years on, I live to tell the tale, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be sharing this. I'm excited that you guys are here, that more people are waking up, that more people are talking about the stuff that I've been talking about for so long. And finally, it's like people get me. People understand what I'm saying, and I'm just like, thank God. Also, that's part of following intuition, is that I was guided powerfully. Like, you have to start sharing on YouTube. You have to start expressing your point of view. And I was like, but it's weird and it's scary. I've been demonized and laughed at and ridiculed most of my life for this weird perspective. No one's gonna get it, right? And then lo and behold, there's this whole beautiful, loving YouTube community that absolutely 100% knows exactly what I'm talking about, and they feel it, and you feel it, and I feel it, and it's just beautiful. So you guys, thank you so much. John, Scott, sleep well. Scott, or no, is it really early in the morning for you? It's either really early in the morning or quite late at night. So I hope you have a good sleep. And then John, up there in Scotland, are you home right now? John, I hope you have a gorgeous day. Feel free to reach out if you're curious about veganism. I might be able to share some tips or tools. Otherwise, just really listen to your body and honor your body, and then do what you need to do to keep it well. And that might mean sometimes having fish or having meat, but I gotta say, most genuine ethical vegans I know, they never go back. There's enough product and information, nutrition, for our bodies to live extraordinarily, vitally well on a vegan diet. That's my perspective, though, and I'm not a scientist or a nutritionist or a doctor. I'm just somebody who's been vegan for a long, long time and felt better and better and better and better in her body. So, yeah, I recommend plant-based. I recommend, John, I eat nuts all the time. I have basically, I pretty much always have a bag of nuts in my car because you know I travel a lot. So I'm like, I always want to make sure. Rochelle, girlfriend, you have been on my mind for the last 24 hours. You keep popping up. So I've been meaning to message you as well. but yeah, just felt well on a vegan diet, so definitely kind of propagate it. But I'm aware that people are pretty like finicky, and they're kind of obsessed about food and nutrition and micromanaging their body. I'm somebody who's transformed all that micromanagement and basically had a genuine desire to be free and happy in my body, to show up how I want to show up, to eat whatever I want, and to just be myself. And that's basically what happened. And yeah, I like to share the journey with you guys because I genuinely believe inside of us is the ultimate healer, guide, and lover, and transformer, and creator. You know, it's all there inside. But that's there seems to be these patterns and these things that we have to go over and over and keep lifting veils and keep delayering, and then there's greater clarity. Things make more sense. Things da 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 da. Right. So yeah, that's where we're at today. Full moon energies. What's gonna happen with the full moon, right? But I'm pretty stoked about it. That's it, you guys. I'm gonna go. I just felt like ranting. Of course, I end up ranting for almost 20 minutes, but hey ho. I thought it was gonna be like a 2 minute, just like bosh, bish, bosh, and then, but no, 20 minutes of me having a little jam session with myself and you guys who've turned up. So have a great day. Have a great sleep, you guys. I love you loads. Look forward to tuning in and chatting with you in the coming weeks. And